Hi, Juliet.
Hi, Carol.
Um, do you mind telling me a bit about yourself, especially where you had your basic education all the way to the university?
Yeah, sure. So I started school somewhere in the Asante Obogu. That
Okay,
was where I started kind of nursery and pre-primary um, stuff.
okay,
And then I think when I was about maybe 5 years, my elder sister brought me into Accra.
okay,
So I came to do, I think, another 1 year of KG or something like that. And at St. Anthony's Preparatory School, it was in Tebiokoshi,
okay,
thereabouts. Yeah. So I did there, I think, a year and a half or so. When I was going to primary one, I moved from there and then came to Dakuman Meadow Preparatory School. So I finished GSS in Meadow Preparatory School. It
okay,
was around Dakuman Post Office thereabout. Um, and then from Meadow Preparatory School, I went to Laboni Senior High, and then from Laboni, I went to KNUST, and yeah, so and then from KNUST, I worked a little bit, and then um, came to the United States to do my PhD. Yeah.
okay. And so, at Laboni, what course did you take?
Okay, so in Laboni, I did science.
Okay,
I did, yeah, all the science electives. So EMAS, physics, biology, chemistry. Yeah.
all right. And then at KNUST, what
I,
program did you read?
At KNUST, I did environmental science.
All right. So that was 4 years, right?
hmm
And
hmm
during that time, did you do any research work
During that time, the research I did was our final year
project?
project. Yes.
Okay.
And that one, my project mate and I did it in collaboration with Tulu Oil, and we were trying to see how, let's say, oil explorations and other things affect the quality at the near shore. So it had not been done before. We were doing it, analyzing it, the water samples, and then establishing that, baseline. So let's say if we take um, a pollutant like maybe arsenic, we are establishing at this point where we are not doing rigorous oil exploration, what is the concentration of arsenic
Sonic
at
water.
the
Okay.
surface of the water and then 5 meters deep?
Okay.
What's the concentration? And then let's say in 5 years time or 10 years after oil explorations, we can do the same study and see the differences or the impact. So that was my main uh, undergraduate research work. And yeah, like I said, Tulu Oil did majority of those sampling and all of that. And it was because I had the opportunity to do an internship with them.
Okay.
And yeah, so yeah, so that was the main research I did at the undergrad level. I also did some lab work during one internship with CSIR, the Water Research Institute, part of CSIR.
Okay.
And that one, I was also in the potable water department or lab. So I think it was the first time I was exposed to some instruments that we use to measure water quality and stuff like that. Yeah, so those are the two main research
Experiences.
activities or tasks that I had the opportunity to do whilst in my undergrad.
Okay. After what year did you leave KNUST?
2012.
2012. Okay. And after that, what did you do? Where did you have your national service?
I did my national service with Technique, and Technique was also an oil services company that at the time had signed an MOU with KNUST.
Okay.
So they selected some students from KNUST, to go to Technique to do that national service. And it was also more like we're doing it with KNUST. It was just some MOU between the two. So after my national service with Technique, then I moved um, I can say back to Tulu Oil because I had some history with them. So I moved back to Tulu Oil to work.
Okay.
or another vow.
So at Technip, you said you were selected. How was the selection? Did you need to take any exam? How were you selected?
Okay, so Technip was, let's say, a French company, an oil services company that was establishing an engineering office in Ghana.
Okay.
Prior to Ghana, they were already in about 50 countries or so, and they wanted to establish something in Ghana because they also had a contract with Tulu. Now they wanted to train some engineers, right? And KNUST was the main school that were training engineers or churning out
Yeah.
engineering students. So they went to the international programs office,
Yeah.
and said that, oh, we have this program we want to run with KNUST, and we want this number of mechanical engineers, this number of petroleum engineers. So because of that request, now what the department did was they made it based on merit.
Okay.
So they selected the top students in mechanical engineering, the top students in petroleum, and all of that. And at the time, I think Propo Bridan, so I don't know if you know him, the current
But
VP.
yeah.
Yeah, Propo Bridan was in charge of the IPO, the
Yeah.
International Programs
Yeah.
Office.
Mm-hmm.
And Propo Bridan was also a lecturer in Department of Environmental Science and then
Yeah.
Theoretical Biology Department. So Prof. Bree insisted that, okay, when you take all these engineers, you should also add an environmental science student to it.
Okay.
So they said, okay, then we'll add environmental science. And environmental science at the time, the order of merit, I was the only one with first class. So
Wow.
I got selected. That was how it happened.
Wow, that's very nice. Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay,
Yeah.
so you said after there you went back to Tulo Oyo. So how long did you work over there?
In Tulo?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Tulo, I worked just for about a year and then
Okay.
proceeded to pursue my PhD.
All right. So this where it gets interesting. So,
Yeah.
right. So first, what actually even informed your decision to pursue the PhD?
Okay. I'll say that as a person, I had desired to do PhD at a time,
Okay.
at some point. Yeah. So that interest or that desire was there. But then, I had gotten the opportunity to work in the industry after school, and I had become interested, right? So I told myself that, okay, I was going to do masters, which was going to be kind of related to the industry, and then continue to work for a while, and then do PhD. Now, just when I was at Tulo, a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, sent me a message that, oh, his school that he's in, there is a professor there who is looking for a PhD student. She has full funding for a PhD student, and he had mentioned me to her, and she wants to talk to me, or something like that. So it made me really think about it, and then
All right. That's very interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. So, what school did you actually do your PhD?
Tennessee Tech.
All right.
So Tennessee Tech University.
Okay. And so how was the preparation? So because you say your friend actually recommended the program to you.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you need to take any exam?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when he told me at the time, I had not taken the GRE, and
Okay.
GRE is one big requirement for US schools, most of the US schools, especially in engineering. And the funny thing is, I think those times when I was even considering that I want to further my studies, I was not actually considering the United States because of GRE. And I like that 1 year master's program in UK.
UK,
So
yeah.
I applied to a lot of. I actually got lots of admissions, but I didn't get funding on that.
Okay.
Anyway, so GRE was the major requirement, and I had to do self-study for that. So I got books from friends, and I did a self-study. So at the time I was working, and whenever I closed from work, I'll just go to somewhere quiet with my book and try to read and all of that. it wasn't easy, but yeah, just had to stick to it and try it and make it work. So
Right.
yeah, I took the GRE. I actually took it twice, honestly.
So when your friend called you and told you about a PhD in engineering, how was it like? I mean, because I can't imagine myself someone telling me to come and do a PhD in engineering.
I know, right? I know. First of all, he telling me the PhD in engineering, it sounded scary. Civil and environmental engineering sounded scary because, I really barely had any background in that.
Yeah.
But one thing that, kept me, or let me say, aroused my interest was the research area that,
Okay.
the professor was doing, and that was bioenergy,
Okay.
trying to, use organic waste to produce renewable energy in the form of
Oh,
biogas.
okay.
So that aspect has some, let me say, overlap with environmental science that I
Mm-hmm.
had done. So because I knew that, okay, for the research, for the PhD research itself, I think I have some knowledge somewhere that I can expand on, no matter how, skeletal it is. But then, the real fear was with, coursework. US, you have to do lots of coursework, and
Mm-hmm.
for the coursework and other things, you have to understand some really fundamental civil and environmental engineering stuff, and it was a big deal. So I was afraid. I asked myself several questions, but I must say that I had this strong conviction that I had to go. So it helped me make up my mind that, okay, I have to go, and whatever it takes, I have to just,
Okay.
swim with it. Yeah.
All right. So at the stage, I presume before you took the GRE, you most likely might have made contact with the professor, and she probably might have
Hmm.
expressed interest in you, and that's why you went ahead, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
So,
the
so
okay.
when my friend mentioned it to me, I thought about it. Initially, I even um thinking, I wanted to pass it on to some friends and all of that. But yeah, but anyway, that's for another day. So I thought about it. I came to a decision that, okay, I think I want to probe further, or, at least contact this professor. So I emailed her, and we had interviews. So she called me, we talked. She told me, her
Work.
research area, what she's trying to do, and all of that. And like I mentioned earlier, the research area, I would say, was interesting to me. So that bit got me interested, and we talked. I think we talked for the second time before I asked her that, okay, can she give me some time to prepare to come. So that was, I think, about a year this moment. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, we talked.
All right. So finally, when you go to the school to start your PhD, how was it like your coursework?
Yeah. So you know what? One interesting thing is, I think when I came here to the United States, and I knew that, okay, I had to do this number of coursework, and I heard that the pass mark was 90.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I was like, huh? 90? How am I going to get 90? And Ghana, like making 70 was so hard, right? But I'll later learn, I mean, as I do the coursework and everything, I'll later learn that it's way easier to make that 90
Mm-hmm.
compared to
Making it.
making the 70 in
That's
Ghana,
true. Mm-hmm.
because it's like every day you have assignments, and you are accumulating your marks, so you don't have to cram everything at the end of the semester.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot of work. I had to stay up, for long nights, because I had to really try and understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
I had to refer to a lot of things. And I would say that I also try not to do things in isolation. So I had people I was taking the classes with, and I'll ask them questions. Most of them did their bachelor's in the school, so they did their civil and environmental engineering bachelor's here. So they understood some of the concepts much better, and I'll reach out to them, and they'll help me, they'll explain things better. So I grasped it little by little, and I also put in a lot of hard work, and by God's grace, we are here. Yeah.
Okay.
The engineering classes that I had to take hydraulics, open channel hydraulics, and like I mentioned in the post, I didn't have the prerequisites for open channel hydraulics, so I had to sit in one undergrad class to take the undergrad hydraulics class
Okay.
to prepare me to take the open channel the next year or so. And so that one I even had to try and learn some fluid mechanics things, and yeah, it wasn't easy. And I took engineering statistics, so they had this statistics for engineers in which was also kind of tailored to the civil engineering profession, so I had to take that one too. And then I had to take water and wastewater engineering design classes. So yeah, the most of the classes was really tailored towards civil and then environmental engineering.
All right. And with your research that you were doing, did you need to like pick up any programming skill?
Yes. So the programming that I had to do, so the research we were doing was trying to design systems to be able to convert organic waste to energy, right? And what we're trying to do was also look at it's a biological process or biochemical process. So a lot of microorganisms are eating this organic waste and then producing the biogas at the end of the day. So we wanted to also understand the microbial communities underlying the system as well.
Okay.
So I had to do some bioinformatics.
Okay.
And I had to, use R, and that was also a whole that was also a whole steep, slope. But yeah. So that was R was something that I used, and yeah.
Okay. And so with your supervisor also, was she funding your you totally, as in your fees, your stipend, everything?
So yes, she was funding my tuition and my stipend as well, and at the same time, she was also pushing us hard to apply for external funding.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And applying for external funding is a lot of work. You write lots of essays and all of that. So I remember I came in 2014, and that very year, 2014, like that very semester, she she told me about this scholarship, Schlumberger Faculty for the Future or so.
Okay.
And I had to apply for that, but I didn't get. And then the following semester, I applied for American Association of University Women. They have AAUW.
Okay.
They have this very competitive scholarships for. They have one which is mainly for American students or American citizens, and then they have one for internationals. So the International Doctoral Fellowship, you can be from any developing country or any country outside the United States, and you can be pursuing any program at all. Okay. So they get, I think, about 1,000 applicants, and then they award like maybe 42. Or yeah. Wow. So you have to write, I think, about 8 essays or so. And yeah, so that one I got it, and it was really cool. So that one, I think they were giving $20,000 for doctoral students, and that was going into your stipend. So my advisor funded me, I think, my first year, and then I got that funding for the next the following year. And then I think the third year she also funded, and then the final 2 years I applied for this diversity fellowship within the school. So typically some schools will have some other internal funding opportunities. So this one, there was this diversity fellowship, and I applied for it, and I got that one too. So that was how my funding
Yes.
went. Yeah.
Okay. So looking at the AAUW scholarship you mentioned, does it mean it's like they find you for just a year?
For PhD, yes, they fund you for just a year.
Okay.
And I think for masters they say it's renewable, but
Oh,
for
okay.
PhD it's just a year. Yeah.
Alright.
And they have this what projects they have this other project grants that you can apply for after you've finished your PhD. If you want to do, a project back home, let's say a project that will empower girls or that will help women, you can apply for that grant. But for the PhD itself, you are only qualified for 1 year.
Okay. And then when you were taking your coursework, at the same time, were you doing your research, or you were supposed to finish your coursework before you start with the research?
Okay. So the first year I was doing research, and then I was just reading, let's say, literature around. I was doing coursework and reading literature around my research.
Okay.
And then by second year, I was reading more literature and trying to formulate the proposal, or the main questions that we wanted to explore in the research. And then I also started some preliminary research. So how do I put it? I started doing some lab work, testing methods and other things that were not the research, but like things you have to do in the way before. Yeah. So I would say that by the time I actually started working on research itself, I had finished my coursework because of other things I had to do in between.
All right. Yeah. And then now, after your PhD, what next, or what are you doing?
Okay, so lucky enough, or I'll say by God's grace, I got an opportunity before finishing, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been working as an engineering consultant with Jacobs Engineering. Wow. I started last year, August, so I think I'll chuck a year in about 2 weeks. Okay. Yeah, and it's the main work I do. It's consulting. We are trying to help most of our clients who are wastewater treatment, who own wastewater treatment facilities, to improve their process, optimize their process, to cut down costs, and to clean wastewater better, and to recover some nutrients or renewable energy from the wastewater that they're treating. So that's mainly what I do now, mainly consulting. Yeah. And that.
Okay. And do you plan to go back to academia anytime soon?
I plan to go back to academia. Soon, I know is relative, but yeah, soon is relative, but I can say soon. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And then okay, and this will be my last question. So I know that a lot of young girls out there who would probably be watching this, there are people doing environmental science, biological science, and they think all you need to do is to stay in this field for postgraduate studies. And someone actually drew my attention to a study that showed that most women who actually even stay in STEM-related courses actually stay with the biological sciences. Not many of them going to engineering. So what do you have for them? What message do you have for them?
Yeah, okay. I think that first of all, every young lady and even any young guy watching us should have an open mind and note that whatever field you're working in now is more diverse than we think. And right now, I think as research is evolving, most research or most let me say professions are becoming interdisciplinary. So have that open mind. The fact that you're doing biological sciences or environmental sciences does not mean that you should even limit yourself to only maybe waste management or environmental stuff. There are so many things you can do. I think when I even started working at Tolu, one of the things I was doing more at some points was safety. And all because there's some link between environmental health and safety. And you can always branch into any of them. So have an open mind and explore. One of the ways to explore is listening to people's stories. So you're listening to my story today, you see my trajectory. There is one or two things you can pick from. Let me mention that, when I was at Tech, there was this time that I liked reading notice boards, and magazines and all of that. There was this time I saw this, is it Professor Highlight or something like that. And it was about Professor Etiewa. And Professor Etiewa, when I read her, profile that day, I was inspired. I was like, oh wow, she got her bachelor's from our department, biological science, and then later went to do environmental science for a master's. And then at a PhD, did wastewater engineering in civil engineering. And then at the time that I was reading the profile, she was head of department of civil engineering at
Oh,
KNUST.
okay.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Look at where she started from biological science, went to do environmental science, and then branched into civil engineering and was head of department of civil engineering. At that time when I read it, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that somebody can go from here and then, be in civil. And later down the years, here I am with a PhD in civil and environmental engineering. So yeah, just read, just explore, listen to people's stories. It'll, in your subconscious, it'll register something that, you can be so many things than where you started off. So when you have that open mind and when you're that curious, when you keep exploring, reading people's biographies and listening to such stories, you definitely get to a point where you realize that you can do so many things and don't limit yourself, don't box yourself. Yeah.
Right. So this will be my
I
last
think
question.
that's
I just remembered something I saw on your Facebook wall. So I realized you are a pro-women advocate. So um, so yeah. So what about our young ladies out there who get intimidated because of what they hear from men? They think they cannot get married when they decide to pursue higher degrees. What message do you have for them also?
okay. Yeah, I think that unfortunately it's such a big issue when it comes to women and our desire to, let's say, go higher, our desire to, pursue higher things. At the back of our minds or, around us, there are some voices that will tell you that, hey, don't go that high because you scare the men away, or, yeah, you try and marry first. Otherwise, you scare them away. And unfortunately, some women, fall for that and try and stifle their own dreams just to appear, let's say in quote marriage material kind of, like they want to try and not to do anything that will prevent a potential suitor. And I think that is wrong. God has given you, if you're a young lady listening to me, God has given you in so much wisdom, so much intellect that he expects you to work with it. Do you get it? He expects you to maximize it and use it to benefit for the benefit of humanity. I think that we go to scriptures, there's a part where it talks about, somebody given, a master given someone 5 talents, 1 talent, 3 talents, and then coming back to find out what you did with the talents I gave you. If you're a woman, you can't say that, oh God, you gave me 5 talents, but because I wanted to marry, I only used 2 talents so that the men will not be scared. Do you get it? So go out there, flourish, be yourself, break the glass ceilings, and the right person that God has designed for you, the right person who will understand and appreciate the wonderful things you are bringing to the table will definitely come in for you. And you can't afford, you can't make somebody love you, like you can't force somebody to love you. And putting down your dreams does not attract the right person. It only attracts the coward or the person who, well, it's true. Yeah. So be yourself, climb higher. Who knows? It's even at that higher level that you meet those cool guys. So.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let me use your
My
title,
pleasure.
Dr. Juliet. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I mean,
My pleasure.
taking time off of your busy schedules to just share your story with everyone out there. Thank you so much, and
My
I'm very,
pleasure.
very thankful.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Okay.